We are back, and this is the final interview of Unleash 2026 here on the podcast. And we have a good one for you folks. I waited for my friend Maribel here. We waited because she's working on something, working on a deck, working on a presentation. Travel was a pain in the butt, but we got here.
It was, but we're here.
We're here.
Exactly.
So why don't you just quickly introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are and what you do over at Visa.
Hi, my name is Maribel Diz. I'm the Senior Vice President of People for the Latin American and Caribbean region.
How long you been with Visa for?
Next month will be 30 years.
Wow. So we're going a little off script here, but I think this is a fair question. What do you love most about working at Visa? It's kept, I mean, long,
Exactly.
like we're kind of moving away for this day and age of people staying at companies and having such long tenures. What keeps you there?
I'll tell you, when I started this gig, I thought I was going to be here for 3 years, like Gen Xers did.
Right.
But the company is just so amazing. It reinvents itself every, I would say, 3 years. It's at the cutting edge. It's super innovative. It's so dynamic that I've made a great career out of it. And here I am.
I love it. What has evolved about your job as you've progressed through the ranks that you love?
You know, it's funny because at the beginning of my career, I would get promoted and I would never think I was qualified for the job, but someone else did.
Little imposter syndrome.
No, let's not call it that.
What do you want to call
I'm
it?
starting a movement.
Well, I don't like imposter syndrome. I just felt there was a
It is because it's become a cliche term.
Oh, it's so overused.
And we're gonna put it on its head because as a scholar, imposter syndrome is a term that is being used very loosely. It is very serious, and what we want to say is that the folks sitting at the table don't believe that they belong there, and let's keep it at that. Because if we label it imposter syndrome, it's something else.
We could have a whole sidebar on that because I'm on the same page as you. I think it was an expression that people latch onto as an excuse for underperformance.
Became a trend.
We're going to move on from that. So you oversee a region spanning many cultures and economies across Latin America and the Caribbean, I think Miami as well. When you look at the growing presence of Gen Z and millennials in those markets, what is the most meaningful way that their expectations of work differ than previous generations?
Well, I don't know what generation. You look like a millennial to me.
One lower. I'm a customer.
I'm a Gen Xer.
Me too.
Oh,
I'm 79.
really? Okay, all right. Yeah, you're on a cut. You're on the cusp.
I know, but I'm more. I consider myself like from a culture and music standpoint. Like, I feel like I could have been born in like 75, 76, but I happen to be 79.
All right, so you're an honorary Gen Xer. You know,
I'm a millennial, whatever they want to call it.
when we started in our careers, it was sink or swim. No one really told us what we had to do. We had to figure it out. And when the millennials entered the workforce, it was something quite different. And they clash a lot with the Gen Xers, but they were loved by the baby boomers. And you know why? Because baby boomers are the parents of the millennials. So they had that simpatico syndrome going on there. So what we Gen Xers struggle with is what we think is hand-holding.
Or we call it entitlement, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah, you know, and especially Gen Zers, they get a bum rap. They're getting a lot of hate these days.
I agree.
And I'm so sad because you know what? They're so great that they're gonna leapfrog the millennials. Because they're just so digitally savvy.
That's the thing. It's native.
Incredible. And they're true digital natives. Their brain made the connections early on that ours didn't. And they're just so good. And what they need is they just need some love, some kindness, and some guidance.
So how do we give it to them?
I have a whole training on that because my dissertation when I got my doctorate was on Gen Zs and millennials,
What a fun thing to work on.
more towards the Gen Z. And what I found, and I'm going to talk about it at the main stage tomorrow, is that they are looking for an extension of their parents at work. And that's very, very scary for leaders because they're like, we don't want to do that. But there's some tricks in order to...
Okay, well, let's talk about that. How does modern leadership manage a cross-generational workforce, specifically with the Gen Z being the
Yeah.
lion's share of a workforce at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
And millennials.
And millennials, let's not forget them. So the millennials, they're grown up. They're pretty much on their own. They have mortgages to pay, they
Kids.
pay taxes, kids, you name it. So let's focus on the Gen Z a little bit, because these are the up and comers, which, by the way, they understand the Gen Xers because we're their parents, and we understand them, and they know how to manipulate us.
Oh,
So
we could talk about how I get manipulated by my 7 and 13-year-olds. Yes.
we will, and I've got some tricks for that too. But it's going to be second nature for these Gen Xers to lead the Gen Zers, because they get them, they understand them. But I feel that we need to meet in the middle, because a lot of their expectations are unrealistic. This is probably their first or second job, and they need to get a taste of the corporate world. So we need to meet halfway with them. We need to train them. We need to educate them. And they are ready. They want to learn, and they want to please as well. So it's going to be great. I'm very optimistic about this.
Off script hot take here, as much as you feel comfortable talking about in general. COVID forced a lot of companies to go remote. How much of that has affected the younger workforce? And do you feel like that you're really missing something about
I
being
do.
in an office, or like,
I
hey,
do.
listen, this is a new dawn, a new day. Companies need to be adaptable to more remote.
Okay, this is Maribel Diz speaking here, not representing Visa.
This is
Um,
not. Yes,
You want to do a little disclaimer?
I- I might have to.
Okay, so what I like to say, and what I've proven to be true, is if you want a job, you can work remote. But if you want a career, you need to come into the office, because a lot of things happen in the office.
Things that you don't aren't in an email. It's this.
It's
It's the body
this.
language. I can't even
It's
imagine how many things when you were younger and now we're younger career, like watching the senior level folks. They're the way they
Yes.
their posture. I mean, I worked in advertising, like the way they commanded a room, the way they commanded respect and attention. What, we supposed to do it over Slack or Zoom?
Yeah, no, and sometimes if you have your camera off, you miss a lot, and the connections. Humans long for that social connection, and I, not because I'm a Gen Xer, but I have two Gen Zers at home, and I tell them all the time, guys, if you want a career, go into the office. And my daughter, who's 28 and killing it in her corporate job, little girl boss, she sees it and she gets it, and she's climbed that corporate ladder faster than she would have if it would have been.
And they see the value of it. And I think it's a tough one, because I don't want to say anybody who wants to work remote only is lazy, because I don't think that's the case at
No,
all. I
it's
think
not.
that the real thing is shifting that conversation to understanding the value. And I'm not saying everyone has to be in work 5 days a week, but that time you spend with your coworkers, even if it's not on productivity time, it's relationship building. It's connecting with them. It's collaboration. It's sharing,
Yes.
of mindset there. And there's obviously debates, and obviously there's some roles that can be remote, right? And then you have the whole
Absolutely.
commuting conversation as well. And as you become older and you have a family, the time shifts. How do you, if you don't mind me asking, is your team on site? Is it remote? Is it a mix? Is it a hybrid?
Well, I manage a region.
You have a
So
very low. So generally speaking,
generally
do you have
speaking,
folks that are remote?
well, they're not remote. They're in the market in a Visa office.
Okay, so they're
So I supervise them remotely, but they're in an office, and it's a matrix. So we have someone on the ground that they interface with, and me, but the majority of my team sits near me.
interesting. So you as a leader, as you've moved up the ranks, in this world, you've seen technology change. What about the tech? We look around this room here. There's a million vendors there. Generally speaking, what gets you excited about the technology in the TA and HR space?
Oh my gosh. I just I I feel that our job is going to get so much easier, because the tactical stuff is going to come off our plates, and it's going to give us that opportunity to think strategically, to engage with our senior leaders, to really design and develop things that matter. Like, how do we focus on our talent? How do we continue to grow our talent? How do we move our talent around? How do we get them those
Mobility.
experiences in order to make them stronger and stay with the organization? And a lot of people are a bit sheepish when it comes to parsing things out to AI, but I would say embrace it. Give it what you don't want to
Lean
do.
in.
Give it what you don't want to do. It's liberating.
I love how you said that. And what I tell everybody is, if you want to learn about something, you do it. You
Yep.
try it for something personal. Like, try to give it a test. Try to think about things that aren't work related that you could give it a shot to.
Yeah.
Try with your finances. Have it ingest all of your credit card statements or your bank. Well, be careful there. But I'm saying, give it some numbers or give it some generalizations. Here's our monthly budget.
plan
Here's how
your
much you're
trip.
allocating. Oh my God, we went to Hawaii. We had to plan our trip for us. We had to give us advice. There's so many ways here. So, Maribel, looking ahead, 5 to 10 years, as Gen Z becomes this dominant cohort in the workforce, across your region, where do you believe organizations where do you think they need to rethink about how they lead and develop talent?
First of all, these generations are intrinsically motivated. So it's not one size fits all. You really need to get to know your talent. You really need to get to know what moves them. And then you take that and you shape it into an interesting project. You explain to them how this is going to make an impact. And strategically speaking, they mobilize very well.
They do.
And we can really take advantage of them.
I want you to leave us with some wisdom from your working towards your doctorate and your dissertation. What's a big aha moment from your research that maybe you really don't get a chance to talk about a lot? Something that you think leaders need to hear now about the future of building the workforce?
I love it. Well, in my study, there were a lot of aha moments, and I'll leave you with two.
Please.
Number one,
We love a bonus aha.
Number
It's an aha,
one.
aha.
Gen Xers are visually distracted.
What?
Exactly. But these generations are audibly distracted. So that's why they plug in. That's why they wear headsets. Because if they don't, they get distracted and they can't focus. And boy, can they focus. There's another myth out there that the attention span isn't there. False. They can focus and they can focus deeply.
You have to weed out the noise, right?
Happy birthday. If we see a cake, we're there.
I thought you were wishing me happy birthday. My birthday was a couple weeks ago, so thank you.
Happy birthday. But if they hear
Thank
the
you.
singing of happy birthday, that's not the visual.
It's the trigger, the auditory trigger.
audible. And the other thing that I was another aha moment is that leaders thought that these two generations were longing for motivational leadership. And that's not true. It's inspirational leadership. And the difference between the two is they motivate themselves, but they need to look up to someone. They need to respect someone that will inspire them. It's more of that pushing towards something than them pulling.
Well, I love that. That's the good stuff here. Well, thank you for inspiring us, Maribel, with your inspirational leadership. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to our friends over at Visa for setting up this conversation here. Where can folks find you? Where could they connect? Where could they learn more?
What was that?
Where can folks connect with you? Where do you prefer to engage on social media?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn's where it's at. Maribel Diz, thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.